Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Castlekeeper Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I am going to be doing a preview of the most recent draft and excerpt from Adventurers Armory from Trollord Games, Castles and Crusades system. This was a Kickstarter I backed quite a number of months ago, and it was one of the first Kickstarters that I backed in 2024, and it really did kick off, I think, for Trollord Games, a whole series of other Kickstarters, and I'm sitting here waiting for something like between 12 and maybe 12 and 14 different hardcover books coming from Trollord Games. So it has been a long line of just phenomenal products that they've been putting out or working on, and just expecting that release. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch screens here, show you that Kickstarter, and then I'll be able to actually show you the excerpt that they released as part of their ongoing communication with us to let us know where everything stands as as the process of putting it together goes. So without further ado, let's take a look at that Kickstarter. Excuse me, let me double check and make sure. So here is the Kickstarter. I'll go to the cover here. And hasn't been delivered yet, so I haven't given my comment, but I'm sure it's going to be a big smiley face. So this had 595 backers. The pledge total was raised $50,274. Its pledge goal was much less than that. I backed this at the $99 amount to receive the PDFs and print copy of the 4 different armories. So this is 4 different books. One is called the, let's see if I can expand on the view here. So this is the Adventurers Armory. And I will say at this point now that I like this cover better than the other one that might be potentially. So I don't know which one is going to be the cover, but I absolutely like this cover better. So I hope it goes along those lines, and this remains the cover of what they were initially showing. I would also prefer even this to be made into a cover as well, because this image is just phenomenal, really cool, and it's their artwork is phenomenal to begin with. So you can fight back and forth over which one is a better or whatever, but this is my personal favorite for the Armory. And I will show you when I go to the brief PDF. Like I said, I don't know if that's actually going to be the cover, but I will certainly put it out there that I hope that either the dark elf or this fighter ends up being the cover. So then there's going to be a monstrous armory. So this is an armory of weapons of all sorts, broken down. It's, as you can see, 128 pages estimate, and this is covering all of the various monsters and the weaponry that they might carry. And then finally war mounts, which again, this is a very classic art style of Castles and Crusades. So if they're, it would be nice for them to do something uniform, like they did with the homage covers, where they all kind of matched along, than having dramatically different. These are the homage covers, as you can see, rather than having very different styles to them. But still, I like all of the artwork regardless, but that's just my little take on it. So without further ado, let's jump into the actual PDF partial release that they've done. And here we go. I can increase the size. So as you can see, if this is the cover, it does match the art of the other of the of the War Mounts cover, so it kind of matches that along the way. But again, I prefer the other cover. So this is by David Chenault. The editor is Finley Clayton. Cover art is Peter Bradley. Interior art Peter Bradley. And art direction and cartography is Peter Bradley. And the table of contents will be completed later. So this is not covering everything that is in the book. And I'm assuming that the table of contents, once it's finally in its completed PDF mode, will have hyperlinked. So you can just click on. If I want to know about clubs, I just click on clubs and I go right there. I'm not going to bother with the forward now. I'll wait until the book actually releases to know that. So clubs, the morphology, let's read this. So the club is comprised of two basic elements, the shaft and the handle, and the striking platform. The shaft can be short and wielded in one hand or long, requiring both hands to wield properly. In some cases, the club is held in the middle of the shaft or can be wielded from either end. The striking platform of the club takes many forms, from plain knobby ends to elaborate curved shapes. Clubs are often from a variety of materials such as hardwood, softwood, heartwood, bone, jade, and other types of stone. Depending on the material, clubs can be hardened by fire or the application of resin to become formidable and resilient weapons. Some clubs can be made quickly, while others may take days, weeks, or months to produce. So a good amount of historical context is being used to go into these things. So I will expand the view here so you can see the the actual stat blocks for each of these. All of these have optional on them. I'm not sure why. So we'll see if that is just something part of the draft. So siege, optional. That's the first time I've noticed that. So, but you can see there's an axe club, and they have a picture of every single item, which is really, really important, so that you as a castle keeper or your players can kind of see an image and see if that's kind of the look of a weapon that they're looking to use for their character. What the weapons actually look like can tell a lot about, how the player is looking to play their character. So if you have someone that's using a claw club and this is what it looks like, that may be an indicator of the kind of personality traits that character has. So, just in selection of equipment is an aspect of role playing, and this really does help that to give you an idea of what these things look like. Someone who is using a jawbone club, is going to have a very different personality than someone who is using a knobberry, let's say. But we have a variety of clubs, as you can see, quite a few of them actually. And then they go into, various types. So they have the characteristics down here, right? So the Samoan War Club. And remember, they're pulling from the world throughout history for some of these designs. All right, so a Samoan War Club has characteristics of disarming +1. So there's a chance, probably from this hook here. Every weapon will have either no characteristics or some kind of characteristic that makes it a little bit more unique in its function. Then we go to knives, and you can see that knives. So this toothpick, an Arkansas toothpick. All right, so characteristic is a cleave +1 to damage. So this weapon is going to do 3d6 +1, or a range of 2 to 4 for it. And that's another factor that the players can choose. What they're looking for. Now, I don't say that they're going to walk into a weapon shop and have the full selection of everything that's there. That's really up to the castle keeper as to what he or she is going to have in their world setting, or what is common and uncommon and even rare in those cases. So here is a rare. It's a rare dagger or knife that, when wielded two-handed, gets a +1 to damage. This is a short, single-edged, wide blade, heavy knife with a pronounced inward curve. Only the belly of the blade is sharpened. The grip of the Dacian fall, I guess you pronounce that, is long enough to wield two-handed. So very rare dagger that can be wielded two-handed if you chose to get that extra +1 damage with it. So we have a long series of knives. I mean, some of them, like the kukri, very well known. So we will continue through, and now we get to daggers. So totally different category than knives. Daggers tend to be double-edged, although some have just this curved, and this is a slashing weapon, obviously. It is a double-edged dagger. Oh, so the outside is edged as well. That's interesting. And we go through, and then we will get to, I believe next in line is clubs, maces and hammers. I did, when I first skimmed through here, I did find one typo, and I left that message in the Kickstarter. There was one where two was TO instead of two-handed instead of TWO handed. Hopefully they pick up on that and make that fix before it goes out. But I'm actually kind of surprised by some of these weapon damages. I would normally say that a mace does more damage than a D4. So that's the one thing I noticed. It was kind of, like a horseman's mace flanged does a D6 +1. The mounted is, I guess, where you get the +1 to it. Otherwise, you would not get that +1, or is it added on? I don't know yet. So that's something that I would want to know is, but why you would take a mace that does D4 as opposed to a fairly common mace that does D6, I don't really know, unless you just want it for purposes of role playing. I have a feeling that they only get that +1 when you're mounted and using it. Although this mace military is not a mounted weapon, and yet it gets a +1 to it without a characteristic. So something I'd like to ask some questions about to see that I'm reading these correctly. Characteristic slow, -3, so that's one of the few. This one here is rending. All right. So you can see the kind of the triple pointed portion of this. So this hammer's head has a pronged and beaked striking platform. One side has 4 or more prongs on it instead of a flat head, and the reverse has a small beak intended for piercing armor. The head is attached to the hammer by languettes. The prongs concentrate the point of impact, thereby increasing lethality. The prongs and beak can also be used to grab onto the potential rend armor or break shields, potentially rend armor or break shields. So, yeah, pretty interesting. So here, if you were taking this, you're getting a lower damage output, a D4 as opposed to like a D6, but it has that characteristic that might actually make it a little bit more versatile and give you a little bit more of a variety of uses with it than just a straight up hammer. Then we have flails, and I'll spend a little bit less time with the flails here. And actually, that's the last one, so they obviously did not go and finish up on this. I mean, they may be finished up on it, but they didn't release it yet. So this is just an excerpt of it. So you can see how much detail is in this, and there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of more weapons just in this book alone, and there are 3 books total in this, and so really looking forward to the pre-releases of the PDFs for those other 2 books, so that we could start to see the monstrous armory, and then really looking forward to the to the war mounts. So that's going to be very exciting as well, and to add war mounts into into your campaign that are not just the straight up war horse or whatever that you've probably seen 1,000 times. To add different types of war mounts is really going to change the whole tone and even theme of your setting. So really excited about that. I mean, you can certainly build a whole campaign setting and world and society and culture around just the type of mounts that are commonly used in that world. So if every knight is mounted on a Pegasus, let's say, that's going to dramatically change the way that your world is going to come together thematically and such. So really great stuff from Troll Lord Games. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of their stuff. They are very prolific. They put out a lot of materials every year, and looking forward to this finally making its way to me in first in PDF form and then the hardcovers, and I will have to make a whole space, the whole shelf space just dedicated to all of the, like I said, between 12 and 14 different books I'm expecting from them. So I'm going to end up having like 2 full bookshelves of just Troll Lord Games and Castles and Crusades. So as always, thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a convention sometime soon. Upcoming conventions, I do have a Savage Worlds. It's called Savage Rifts. It's a virtual convention starting next weekend. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to make all of those sessions, so I'm going to have to double check my schedule. And then the next in-person convention is going to be in September. That is ShireCon. Really excited about that. That is in Connecticut. And as we get closer to there, I will do another video just showcasing that convention. So again, convention season is open now, so try to get yourselves to conventions if you can. In my view, it is one of the best ways to learn how to run games and to play games that you might not have ever seen, in your own experience. So it's a great experience to discover new games, play with new people, and to run. I think in probably the best mode of running games is at conventions, because you learn so much as a game master when you're running convention games. So That all being said, have a great day. Thanks for joining, and as always, just keep on playing out there, keep on experiencing new game systems, and and keep on coming to the channel. Leave your questions and comments in the comments section. If you hadn't subscribed, subscribe, and if you like the video, share it, do all of that stuff. I really appreciate all of your support, and you have a great weekend and remaining of your weekend, and enjoy your summertime as well. So have a good one. Take care.